Welcome to UNCAGED, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with Rodrigo Loureiro. Rodrigo, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to the show.
Yeah, it's great to speak with you. And certainly we're going to be touching upon a topic that is at the center of a lot of people's thinking. Rodrigo is the managing partner of CyberVerse Advisors. CyberVerse Advisors is focused on delivering advisory services, innovative and disruptive cyber digital transformation advisory services. So we're going to be talking a lot about basically in how to keep your information safe, how to make sure it's not only safe, but applying some of the leading technologies like machine learning in that process as well. But before we get there, Rodrigo, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career today.
Thank you. Of course. I'm actually of Portuguese origins, Bant had a little bit difficulty pronouncing my name, but he did a great job.
I tried, Rodrigo.
It was a great effort. So I'm actually Portuguese, and I came to the US about 20 years ago. Incidentally, I was already working for an American company way back when I was working in Portugal and in Europe. I started working for a large public consulting company. Back in Portugal. They took me all the way through Europe. And then after 5 or 6 years of working across multiple European countries, they asked me if I wanted to come and live and work in the US. So I came with with a big telecom bubble of the late 90s. I came to the US when a time where the industry was looking for every possible a telecom expert they could lay their hands on. And back then, the big thing was about the wireless. And back in the day, I was an expert in billing systems for wireless companies. So they brought me over, and I settled down here in outside of Washington, D.C. in beautiful Northern Virginia. As you can see from my background, I love the outdoors, I love nature, and I built myself a log cabin here in Northern Virginia. I spent about 20 years in the company working with telecom, but that was short-lived. As you can remember, then it went all boom in the early 2000s. But I had the opportunity to focus in different areas. Spent a couple of years doing a little bit of research and development, focusing in large IT systems. I remember that I was working for a client of the company, Boeing, where suddenly their systems wouldn't scale up because they were invoicing parts for a project that they were doing to invoice work for the space shuttle, and some of those invoices had tens of thousands of lines on one invoice, and when they wanted to send the invoice, then the system wouldn't perform. So my focus back then was really large scale systems and high performance systems. So that's what I did for a while, and then I started focusing in large financial transactions. I think everybody is very painful aware when they go to websites. It's like, why is it taking so long? So back then I switched over to the financial side, always taking my expertise in large enterprise systems and performance tuning, accelerating, making those systems fly. And this took me, in around 2005 or 6, and that's when really the digital transformation started really occurring. The move to the web, the software as a service. And, that's when I really started shifting focuses a little bit from being a pure technology focused. And although I never stopped being a technology focused executive, and then I started really talking about cyber, because when you start offering software as a service, cybersecurity is of the utmost importance, and obviously in the financial sector is even more important. So I spent the next few years, working at the company, focusing on delivering software as a service for the largest financial organizations in the world. Some of our clients were JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America, ANZ in Australia, Barclays in Europe, HSBC, some of the large Canadian banks as well. So I spent quite a number of years doing that and really build my chops in terms of cybersecurity in the financial sector.
And now it seems like you have applied that and shifted it to create this new advisory service. It's a relatively new company, CyberVerse Advisors, very much squarely still in that transformation space. But tell me a little bit about the type of work that you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. When I had the great opportunity to join a company that was Laureate Education, that was a network of universities that delivered higher education services across the world. And I had the great opportunity to join them pre-IPO. The company was preparing to go public, and they needed somebody who could come in and build an information security program for them. I worked for the company for about 6-7 years, and I went through the full cycle of the company. Joined them as a private company. We went public. And then after 5 years of working at the company, I really started wondering to myself, this work that I did for Laureate, coaching them, advising them, building an information security program, advising how to build
more people need it, right? Yeah.
Everybody needs it. And I had the opportunity, because I spent 20 years as a consultant, then I came to Laureate, I did it, right? So I think that I have both the knowledge to consult and advise, and I have actually did it. A lot of the criticism that are levied against consultants is that you know how to give advice, you never did it. Well, I can give you the advice because I actually did it. So that's where CyberVerse Advisors came from, really to help companies build their cybersecurity posture and continue the essential digital transformation with a very a big focus on cybersecurity.
And where are you finding the market right now? I mean, what are the specific types of cybersecurity issues that these companies are facing? Where are they in the majority of them in their journey?
Well, the majority of the companies, in my opinion, they have spent a lot of money. They have put in a lot of effort building a cybersecurity program, but it just so happens that the technology is a very fast-moving market. Technology grows by leaps and bounds every few years, so you cannot sit still. I always say that in cybersecurity, sitting still is going backwards.
Right.
And there needs to be a continuous investment. And one of the biggest dangers and threats that exist right now in the marketplace is the continuous focus on the digital transformation. And obviously, we had an event, which was the pandemic, that unleashed a huge transformation in the workplace, which was the work from home. Sometimes I use the word work from home, but really, it's really work from anywhere, from the middle of the woods, like I do. But that changes the way that companies can manage their computer systems and their cybersecurity assets. And not to go too much into technical terms, but it essentially completely explodes what's defined as the cyber attack surface of a company. The cyber attack surface of the company is essentially how many ways does a bad actor have to penetrate and hack into your company. So what happens right now is that companies don't even know how many ways a bad actor has to infiltrate and hack into their company. So the biggest trend right now that started a year ago is what's called the Cyber Attack Service Management. Great acronym, CASM. But that's really the area where companies need to manage all of their environment and all the cybersecurity, the cyber assets that they have, because companies, back in the day, companies had all of their systems in a data center. Every company had a data center. Then we started migrating towards the cloud. And now some companies have, I have a private cloud, I have a public cloud, I have a hybrid cloud, and nobody can agree which one of the cloud is the best. So everybody uses multiple clouds. So companies lose track of where their assets are. And that is the single biggest threat right now for small and large organizations, is to manage their cyber asset attack surface and really understand their security posture across all of these assets. And that is really my big focus, is really conveying this message to all the old companies, because the tools that they used just 5 years ago are inadequate for the threats of today.
It's really interesting. And I think you're highlighting a challenge that I haven't really given it full thought to, which is this idea that now we have these hybrid businesses. You have individuals that are basically working everywhere, right? And how do you make sure that that surface that you highlighted doesn't get unwieldy, right? So how do you offer flexibility and freedom whilst also protection? So what a tremendously kind of intellectually stimulating challenge you have, Rodrigo.
Absolutely. And, the reason I'm so passionate about it, because those types of intellectual challenge were really the intellectual challenges that always drove me in my professional career way back in the day, building these huge systems for telecom companies, accelerating and maybe these systems for financial institutions very fast, taking a large network of 65 universities across 25 countries, taking them public. And now there's this new huge challenge in the marketplace where I believe that I can provide some insights because, the experience that I had over the last 7 years, managing a network where we had 65 universities in 27 different countries in 4 continents across 200 plus campuses. That's really the challenge that I'm talking about. And multiple companies have this exact same challenge. And there are ways to manage this challenge. And this really trend in the marketplace of developing products and thinking about how do you manage all of this, it really opens up a complete new niche in the market for software solutions that really come to the marketplace.
So Rodrigo, I mean, when you look out in the market that we find ourselves here in 2022, is this the big problem that companies are coming to you with, saying, wow, we need to figure out how we're going to manage the increase of the risk variabilities that we have here, and how do we minimize and manage that? What does 2022 look like for you?
I love that question. I love that question for a couple of reasons. First, I wish that was true. I do feel very passionate about this specific question, but for a lot of companies out there, this is still the problem that they are not aware that they have. I would say that there is still a significant portion of the market where companies still need to build their basic security hygiene. But more advanced companies, this is really the big one, is the companies that have spent millions of dollars in all sorts of cybersecurity tools, and they have all of this technology, and they have so much noise coming out of these technologies that they don't even know if they have full coverage and full visibility. So absolutely, for me, if I for a moment ignore the fact that there is still a significant number of companies that need basic security hygiene.
Yeah.
So having a security awareness training, patching their servers, and so on and so forth, having good passwords. If I ignore those companies for a moment, those that feel good about themselves, they still have a problem that they are not aware of. And I'm very proud with the CyberVerse Advisors to be working with a company that has a novel software product that really takes this problem head on and combines the ability for us to manage the cybersecurity asset with the other section, which is the identities. There is an identity problem right now in most of our companies to really identify who are the users that they have in their environment. And the cyber asset attack surface gets progressively worse as you have identities and users that the company is not even aware of. So the big focus right now, from my perspective, is to really identify a combined approach to manage your cyber attack surface with the identities of the users that you have in the system. Because 99% of the attacks are successful because the hackers are able to capture an identity, which is a user ID and a password, and then log into an asset, which is an IT system. We see all of these movies where the hackers are very creative, very technical, and they hack into the system. But reality is that 9 times out of 10, they actually hack into an identity, and then they use the identity that they stole to actually hack.
As far as I can see in every movie, they generally need only about 20 seconds to get into any system in the world. And you need to play that kind of heart pumping music in the background where where they're cracking it.
Yeah, and while that's not untrue, that's not how most attacks happen.
Right.
It's interesting because that is true for the companies that don't practice basic security hygiene. So the companies that are really don't have the basic security hygiene, that they can hack in 30 seconds, in a minute. But for the majority of the company, they have done, as of today, to 2022, they went past the basic security hygiene, but they need to be better at managing their cyber asset surface, as well as managing their identities.
It's been amazing talking to you about this, Rodrigo. I can see the spectrum of work that CyberVerse Advisors has to tackle, from that kind of basic hygiene, education, training, that foundational level, to this next level, which is essentially managing this new complexity, the broader, I'd say maybe the cyber surface of a company and how you actually protect it wherever someone is, to probably the next third, fourth, and fifth levels of security that all these companies face. So there's almost a never-ending set of challenges that you're going to have to face. If someone wanted to reach you and learn more about what you guys are working on at CyberVerse Advisors, where should they find you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me by Rodrigo Loureiro or CyberVerse Advisors. You can find me also on the web, rodrigoloureiro.com or cyberverseadvisors.com. Google is always your friend in terms of finding me, and I've done a lot of work to make sure that I'm easily findable either on LinkedIn or through Google.
Well, thank you so much for being on Uncaged today. We've been speaking with Rodrigo Loureiro. He is the managing partner of CyberVerse Advisors. They deliver advisory services for innovative and disruptive cyber digital transformation. As far as I can see, if you are a company that is just trying to get your hands on a basic strategy all the way through to some of the gnarliest challenges that you could be facing in the cyberspace, a chat with Rodrigo and his folks is probably be worthwhile. Thank you so much for being on the show today, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you, Bent.
Cheers.
Cheers.